In his new book, The 60% Solution, Rethinking Healthcare, author Todd Furniss breaks down healthcare problems and solutions to free the industry to do its job. There are 5 major constraints: poor use of primary care, inconsistent accounting and incompatible IT, hidden pricing, restricted health savings accounts, and hyperregulation.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today. As always, if you like these videos, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to have you and really appreciate your time and attention to anything I have to say, but it's certainly a fun opportunity to engage in some important conversations. I've been getting a lot of conversations around some of the challenges associated with business models in healthcare and the sense that, gosh, we're just getting charged very inconsistently for healthcare services and goods and products, and it just feels bad. And the more that we learn, the worse it feels. Meaning, the more we understand about the pricing disparities. I'm going to have upcoming conversations with people who can talk to the issues around pricing disparity. And I'll give you an example. We have a study that's shown that prices may vary by over 1,000% in the same market for the same product or service. That's outrageous. Over 1,000%. At the same time, insurance companies are frequently paying this amount without even quarreling about it. And I'll give you an example that's more than 1,000%. The instance where we found a dialysis syringe, not the procedure, just the syringe, which costs about $5, is being billed at $6,000. This stuff is crazy. And so we have to figure that out. And what people are not really honoring is that there was a law put in place called the Transparency Act back in January of this year that required that healthcare service providers put their pricing on the web in a machine readable format. And the reason for that was because the administration wanted that price to be made available to the public so they can make better decisions and be more consumer-like in their decision-making. But what's been stunning has been the number of hospitals and other service providers who have simply said, I'm not doing it. And they've thumbed their nose at the administration and said, sue me. And there have been others who said, okay, I'm going to put the prices out there, but I'm going to put a CAPTCHA technology on it so that you can't use the machine, you can't use computers to go scrub the websites for their pricing information for comparative purposes. Again, it's just a brazen approach to a reaction to the law. This isn't helpful for our society and doesn't inspire trust in our community. So I'm going to have some guests on in coming weeks to talk about this. Now, there's another problem that we're seeing that's coming out. I've talked about this in the past, where United Healthcare is hiring through one of its subsidiaries physicians, and they're buying physician practices. And that's bad because it raises all sorts of conflicts of interest in my mind. But in addition to that, they're also closing off their networks to new physicians, and they're reducing prices to their existing physicians in network. Sounds a little anti-competitive to me. Not good. So I'm pleased to report that I'm working on a very, very exciting podcast with a very, very exciting guest, where we're going to talk about the law that has taken away the antitrust exemptions that insurance companies have. So that'll be a fascinating conversation. I hope you'll tune in for that one. And we have other guests where we're going to be talking to CEOs of hospital systems. We're going to be talking about innovators in the benefits plan space, where they're coming up with new and innovative ideas on how to create benefits plans that work for self-insured companies where their populations are more active in the management of their own healthcare. And not only does the company that's doing the insurance, the self-insured company, gain savings, but the employees are getting as good or better coverage and are participating in those savings in some way or another. We'll be looking at other issues as well. those are just a few coming up. But I wanted to give you a little bit of acknowledgement that these were going to be coming your way, and we'll make them available in the normal formats. I also wanted to raise the issue. I made this comment in my podcast recently that I'm looking at doing a weekly brief where we would step back and reflect on broader issues that nobody's really talking about, or that people are talking about inartfully. In my view, these raise themselves in the form of this, what I referred to earlier as intellectual laziness and kind of name calling. That to me is not really productive, and I'd rather see us genuinely engage in some dialogue, hence the name of my podcast being Civil Discourse. I'd like to continue that idea by taking some steps back and really looking at these big issues and trying to reflect on them in a way that looks across one or more manifestations of this issue at a time. So earlier I talked about the dynamic tension of the individual rights versus the collective rights and how that works out. That would be an example of one instance where I've tried to undertake that. We'll have more of those in the future, I'm certain. But I do hope they are thoughtfully presented to you, and where we have guests on the podcast that we learn from those guests and we have good takeaways that we can implement ourselves. I want to thank you again for taking the time to listen to this little piece, and I'll look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you.